What I have here is the classroom Coil II. Just going to show you what to do when you get it out of the box. We have our breakout wire and the toroid and our small copper secondary wire. So I'm going to show you how to put it together. So first, I'm going to put your toroid on, and how high you set the toroid to the copper windings will affect the output, so you don't want to push it all the way down to the copper. You want to just set it to where it's just holding itself on still good, but just barely on there. Take the copper wire and bend it over like that. And just slide it in the grooves here. And this same thing goes for the classroom coil 1. Slip it right in there like that. Now I want to pull off the breakout wire, and one end is bare, it's been sanded down. You're just going to do the same thing, just slide it in one of the grooves here like that. And this is what you should have. The breakout wire sticking out like that, and the small copper wire is sitting in the groove. Alternatively, I usually send this with it. You can use that to stick over it too, if you don't plan on pulling this on and off a lot. If you just plan on leaving it on, I'd just stick that on there. One thing you want to do when you get this is remove the screws out of the corners, and while the toroid is on, use that, so then you can set this aside just like that, and just give it a little inspection. Make sure there's no loose wiring or anything. Everything looks good. Now you notice this antenna piece here, that stays loose, but you don't want that touching anything else, the end of it here. This is what's going to pick up the resonating frequency of the primary and resonate at that. Now if you pull the lid off, just make sure you got your wires over onto your primary. There's no primary capacitor, just go straight to it, and your ground, just make sure that's over. You don't want them laying over here, especially the ground. The ground is good here, especially if it's over this, it's alright. Not over here. Alright, and the next thing you want to do is put that back on, then hook this end of the cable up while the other end is unhooked. Now we got it plugged in, and we're ready to power it on and test it out. Now after you test it, you might want to check the bottom of the toroid and see if it's got any heat on it. If it does, you might be a little bit too close to the copper, so then you can raise it up and test it again. It looks like we have a good working coil. So if everything's good, let it run for 30 seconds or so, and check the heater on the toroids. Just make sure everything's good there. You want most of your heat, or you want all your heat transferring to the breakout. So you don't want any heat on the MOSFETs. If they're running high, then the frequencies, or if running hot, the frequency's a little high. The frequency these run at, there really shouldn't be much heat at all on the MOSFETs. So if it's running at the right frequency, the way everything's set up, the way I set it up, is it should run for a good while before it really starts building any heat, and I mean like 5-10 minutes. If you notice you are running at a higher frequency and you are producing a lot of heat on the heat sinks, you might want to add a fan. It'll be okay to run it at that, just need to add a fan to accommodate the higher frequency and the extra heat because of that frequency. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me or drop a comment. Thanks.